Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Creators to Creators Today. Today we have a special guest.
Monte Barrett.
Welcome welcome to the show. So glad you could do this.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I really, me and you and I stay in contact, here and there, but we just trying to, make it through this, this season, I should say.
Oh yeah, this interesting time.
Right,
2020 has been definitely historic.
I agree. I definitely will.
So tell me, I know a lot about you, but the listeners, tell me from the beginning, growing up, and how was that? How was your childhood?
Oh wow, my childhood was it was a childhood. It was a city-like childhood, fast, furious, exposed to a lot at an early age. Also, it was breaking, but it was challenging. It was great. It was horrible. So many different experiences and emotions from the childhood. But nevertheless, to say that I'm here, 49. I prevailed. God had an angel looking over me as I was going through the childhood. So I'm actually in the making of doing some things with my pain to bring me some release and help other people. So, that'll be coming soon. But in the meantime, but childhood and growing up in New York City and South Jamaica, Queens, it was kind of rough. But you become a product of your environment because that's all you know.
Right.
So you don't know anything else until I started when I got older and I started traveling. And then when I got involved in boxing at a later age, I was a young adult. I started traveling the world. I started seeing so many things. And I was like, wow, it's more than just New York. That's when I think I started opening up. And as a kid, you're a dreamer. Like me, I was a dreamer. I'll be in La La Land with my little thoughts and things like that. And for the most part, when I opened up and I got older and I started seeing all these things, I said, wow, this is life. It's more experiences, it's being more accountable, it's having more fun, not taking life so serious.
Right. What were some of your interests growing up? I mean,
my first interest that I love animals. I love pets. So I had so many dogs that I grew up with. Then my second one that I like to write poetry. When I was young, when I was like 8, 9 years old, I used to write little poems. And as I got older, I started writing more deep poems. And then even as of recently, when my wife, when I met her, I started writing a lot of poems. And she was like, you know what? You're so good at this. You need to open up your own homework.
Oh, wow. That's
online poetry. So I was like, all right, cool. But we never, it's just like it takes a lot of time for a masterpiece. You can't just write any old thing. A lot of those things come just naturally for me. I'm gifted. God gifted me with a couple of things. One of the things He gifted me was with expression, communication, and also learning how to manage people. So those little things have taken me far.
That's great. That's wonderful. Wow, poetry. Would have never thought that.
I know, right? Me
That's
neither.
really that's really cool. So how did you find your way into, boxing?
Boxing, okay, so that reflects back to my childhood.
Uh-huh.
I was in a very, um, the year I came up in the 80s was very, drug related areas as far as, crack and cocaine and all of that.
Hmm.
And also the needles, what you call it, the dope things, heroin.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of fighting because I was a big kid, but I was the youngest kid out of all of my friends. So I had to fight everybody back.
Oh, wow.
So in doing so, I got really good at fighting. And, then one thing led to another. And then at an early age, I started hustling.
Right.
I didn't know what I was,
Hmm.
I was making sneaker money, $500 to $1,000 a week. And being in high school was a lot of money back then.
Hmm.
But I was always good with my hands. So, fast forward, like when I was 21 years old, I was involved in this movement called Collision,
Hmm.
which is a construction company, and we go out and we get minorities jobs, right?
That's
And
awesome.
I got over 500 to 600 jobs in my neighborhood for people, all different type of work, teachers, people, because this is $25, $30 an hour in 91, 92
Right.
and with no experience, or you just gotta know how to wave a flag or several. I met this guy named Herbie Bill, and he introduced me to a friend named Abraham Davis. They call him Pops, Boxing Hell. He passed away in 2017. He was 102 years old.
Wow.
He was born 1914. He kind of took me on his wing, and he kind of like showed me ropes of boxing. And then he took me to Star City, and I met the great Jimmy O'Farrell, and life just changed for me. I started hitting all these tournaments and winning everything. And
Wow.
I was a grown man fighting kids, 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
But these kids were, their whole life was boxing. I was fighting kids who had 60, 70 fights versus my 7, 8. I
Wow.
was winning. I won all these national tournaments, and I got a whole bunch of money and sponsorship. And next thing you know, I won the Golden Gloves a couple of times, U.S. Championship, PAL Championship, won all these championships, and I had major offers to turn pro. I didn't go to the big offers, but I did go with an offer that I felt was good for me.
Right.
And 2 years of being with my manager, Joe DeGuardi, at the time, I wound up signing my first 750 deal. And life just kind of just changed.
I'm sure that was an adjustment that was like, whoa, it's so fast, right? Like you said, you're traveling, you're fighting. How often were you training? I'm curious. Like, I don't really, I mean, I know a little bit about boxing because I worked for a boxer at one point in my videography career, but that's about it.
So how often I train? So as an amateur, I didn't know anything about boxing. I just knew street fighting,
Ah, I see.
much different, right? So I was Al Davis had a gym called the Dungeon in his basement with,
Oh, wow.
so it was like a really dark place, no light and no life.
Oh,
Only
man.
just punching bags and pulleys, and it just me, him, and just that equipment. And we did that for 6 months, and then we went to Star City. And when we went to Star City, that was a whole full-fledged gym.
Oh, nice.
And I just wanted to, I was comfortable as an amateur because I was making around $15,000 a month
Hmm.
with this company, right? So I was able to focus just on boxing.
Right.
So I dedicated all my time to boxing. I was the first one in the gym, and I was the last one out the gym.
Nice.
Gym was open from 5 to 8. So basically, I honed my craft. I was a punching bag for some up and coming guys at the beginning. And probably 6 months to a year later, they couldn't even touch me.
Wow.
It's like what you get in, what you put in is what you get out of it.
Right.
Right? It's
Right.
the result. So I mean, it varies, but I mean, I choose to train harder because of my drive. Like I've always had this drive since I was a kid. I played high school football, played basketball. I was an athlete all along, and I was a street kid. So I had that. I have both. I have both. You know, working for me. Being from the street, because some things can't teach a boxer. You
Right.
can't teach a boxer how to take a punch.
Right.
You can teach him how to dodge a punch, but when he take it, it's a different reaction.
Yeah.
Some guys might be do all that good in the gym. As soon as they get punched, they're like, I don't want to do this no more. And I heard
Yeah.
guys tell me those stories. So fortunately, I was a tough kid. So it kind of worked in my favor.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, because I mean, I can only imagine, like you said, you taking a punch is completely different. Because when I see it, I'm like, how? That's all the time. That's
I know. I said to myself, I took a couple of friends to fights, and I was like, man, I can't believe I did this all in sport.
wow.
Wow. You know, looking at it from the outside and seeing these guys on ringside just take these punches, I'm like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks so brutal, you know. But when you're young, you're Superman.
Right.
When you get older, you meet kryptonite, you know. And you be like, you know, fall back.
Right, right. Who were some of your like inspirations in the boxing world? And I'm sure you got to meet a lot of the people that you, I mean,
Yeah,
admire in the boxing
right.
world, but who were some of those?
Well, I didn't meet the only person I would love. I thought I was gonna meet him, Muhammad Ali. So
Ah,
I fought Tim Witherspoon, former heavyweight champion, on the undercard of Jackie Frazier and Layla Ali.
oh, nice.
Joe Frazier's daughter and Jackie and Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, fought in upstate New York at the Turning Stone. Ali didn't come that day, so I
Ah,
didn't. So that was, you know, that was like, that was a bummer. But no, it was so many great, you know, it was everybody from the Hall of Fame, International Hall of Fame were there. So
oh,
I
very
got a chance
cool.
to meet a lot of fighters, and I wasn't a big boxing fan. I just loved Mike Tyson. I loved
Nice.
Ali. I loved Sugar Ray Leonard. I loved De La Hoya, but I wasn't a big boxing fan growing up. I
Interesting.
just, you know, I was in the streets.
Yeah,
So, but meeting all of those guys and having access.
I bet. I bet that was. I mean, obviously it's a very competitive sport, but I mean to always to go out there and like I guess you said you have to have that winner mentality and you have to it has to be something that you want to do because there's so many new people coming through all the time. Like I when I look at boxing, I'm like, I mean, like it's like film. It's very competitive. It's even like how do you get in like how did you to stay to keep a long lasting career? I'm sure that had to be something
Right.
that you had to make up. All right, I'm going to do this. Did you have a plan, like your exit plan after doing this?
No,
Or
I
you
was
just
just
kind of
winging
just
it.
like doing it? Okay.
I was winging it. You know, to be honest with you. I mean, it was like you know, even though in some point in my life when I was younger,
Hmm.
go back to myself. Like I'm blessed, like I'm favored, like I knew that I was going to be something, and I don't feel like boxing is my last calling. I don't feel like it's my aha moment. I mean, I
Right.
just feel like it was a catapult to the where I'm going. But I always felt like I'm supposed to be around these people. I'm supposed to be traveling. I'm supposed to be making money. I am supposed to be doing these things. I always felt like that. It wasn't a sense of cockiness, but more so just like more of a spirit of like, you know, God didn't put me on the earth just to be just average,
Right.
right? And to a certain degree, it's like levels in life, right? Okay, so when I was a kid, I was always above average in everything I did, even the bad things. You know, I did the bad things good. You know, so the fighting I did that good. Look what it took me to boxing.
Yeah.
Then right. So I always just felt like this. So I didn't feel like it was I didn't feel like it was that to the point of how can I say I'm stuck on the word without the emotion that I have that. But I felt like I was supposed to be there. Like this is a part of my journey.
Right. Right.
My wife used to always tell me later on in life, trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. You know, when you're younger, you don't know what's going on. And like I said, I was winging it. And I was just good. When you're good at something, you can do two things. You can just be average with it, good with it, or you can work on it and harness your skills and be better, right?
Right.
So I was like torn in between. Like a lot of my shortcomings in the fight game was really me fighting myself. You know, bad habits, things that I wasn't taught as a young man, with
Mm.
women, with you know responsibility, with accountability, with you know just you know having discipline, more discipline. A lot of big fights that I lost was because of my own error. Because
Mm.
I wasn't focused. I was chasing women, not having a discipline to stay focused on the task at hand.
Right, right.
And that kind of hurt me moving down the line because, I'll get to a point, then I just always fold. Like when I say not in a fight, but fold within my own self. Like,
Right.
because I hold myself accountable and I fall short and I'm like, damn, I know I could have did much better. You
Gotcha.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've learned a lot about accountability and I'm still learning every day.
Definitely. That's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, that's really good. After boxing, after like, this, after boxing, what did you want? Like, were you working on something where you're like, okay, I want to try this, I want to do this, or what did you start doing after?
Well, after boxing, it was hard for any athlete that
Mm,
has been doing something that's comes so easy, make a lot of money, and could do anything. And the last fight I had, I think 2014, I fought Luis Ortiz, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I got stopped. I think it was a premature stop, but I get it. And I was like, pass the torch. You got to keep it moving.
right.
So what was I thinking? I was like, okay, it took a lot of heart to leave because I still getting good offers to fight. But I didn't want to be somebody's punching bag and then being a journeyman. So I was like,
Mm,
let me bow out. I did a lot in boxing. Let me just go gracefully on
right.
my own merit. And I should have left 3 years prior to that when I fought David Two in 2011 when I won a WBO.
Nice.
I should have been like, that was it. But as athletes, you still like feel like man, you're chasing the bread, you're chasing the fame, you're chasing
Yeah.
everything, right? So that hurt me. But in all respect, when I retired, I had so many ideas. I'm a thinker, and sometimes thoughts be jumping me.
Hmm.
That's the good and bad in me, and my mom and dad in me. I split the personality to check the arms and the feet to make
Right.
sure it's he and I am me. That's the good and bad in me. Yeah, so basically, I just like so basically, I just was like, oh, what I'm gonna do? And so I worked some odd jobs, trying to figure out what's next. And I met somebody, a Wall Street guy, and we started fights. Just on some casual, like I was training him. Took
Right.
him to the fights. He loved it. He was like, "Yo, you should do this." I said, "Do what?" He said, "You should take people to the fights. Have like a concierge service." I was
Nice.
like, "Oh, good idea." So he helped me kind of develop the plan, and I came up with a website. I came up with a price point. I came up with this, and I came up with that, and then I just started experimenting. What to do, what to take in, what to bring in, to take out, how, and then I called my boxing brother, he's like a little brother to me, Zab Judah. I was like, yo, I got a plan, let's do this. And he's like,
That's
all right.
awesome.
We started Bad VIP, a sports concierge service.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's cool. That's awesome. I'm curious too, now that we're in a weird time right now with the whole COVID situation and this whole pandemic that has happened, and I mean, there's so many other things that just happened as well. The Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, all these things. How did you stay balanced? What kept you balanced during this time?
Hmm. No, let me see. What kept me down this time? Well, I just think I'm an even kill person,
Mm,
right? So, I think that less is more for me. So me, I had some things I was dealing with emotionally. I'm an emotional being, so right. So I had some things I was dealing with emotionally, but for the most part, I was like, it's just a season.
right.
I still embrace this as a season, but I do understand. And every season, it comes trial and error. Just just went with the flow. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And when it came to the safety and the wearing the mask and wearing gloves and being washing your hands and then you have family, then you have kids. You're thinking about all of those things. But
Right.
I don't think that I do. I just think like this is our new normal. Our new normal is this. We just got to learn how to adjust to it for this
Right.
season. I don't know if things will ever be like they used to be, as far as a lot of things. So we're just gonna have to figure it out. But just like the Israelites, they was in the wilderness for 40 years before
Yeah.
they went to their promised land.
Oh
You
God, I
know,
hope it's not 40 years.
but listen, I just think, it's just like a lot of rebellious, a lot of people,
Right.
idols, and that's the same thing that's going on now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone next year. We
Yeah.
just we just be grateful we're here. With that being said, I just embrace it. You have to make your adjustments. That's why like guys like Floyd Mayweather, that's why he's the best to ever do it. You know why? Whenever Floyd got hurt, or whenever he was in a good fight, or
Hmm.
thought it was going to be a good fight, he made those adjustments,
I
and
see.
he made them on the drop of a dime. And it was about his instincts, training so hard. Me being friends with Floyd and Zab and all of us, Tava and Nate Jones and Lamian Brewster, that was all the '96 team Olympics. I didn't make it to the Olympics, but I made it to the trials. But we all fought together in tournaments. And
Nice.
so, Floyd showed love to all of us, right?
Right.
And me and Zab was out there for his big fight with Costa that he lost. And Floyd, we used to play basketball. We all played basketball till like 4 in the morning, 4 court games, talking junk,
Hmm.
mad energy all over. And Floyd, every night after every game, he would get on the treadmill and run 4 miles.
Wow.
I thought that, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, and you don't think of like when you look at it, like I didn't know back then. This is 2000.
Right.
Back then, I see him get on the treadmill. I'm like, he just into his workout, right? But as you fast forward and think now where we are and where he is, he
Hmm.
got out the game, undefeated, everybody hitting agendas. He never folded, right?
Right.
But then he got all his marbles. He's still sharp as a razor, and he got all his money.
Right.
You gotta tip your hat off to that man.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh. Right. And
think
being
about
and being an African American man in the business, I'm sure that's
it. But that's
another.
another thing. But
Yeah.
he had the right people around him. So I mean, it was somebody really prayed hard for his life. His grandmother, his great grandmother, his mother, but somebody had an anointing over his life because being in any sport, you hear it, 30 for 30,
Mm.
all these guys, hundreds of millions of dollars are broke. I had
Yeah.
money. I went broke. You know what I'm saying? Just that's life,
Hmm.
because you want to take care of everyone,
Right.
family, friends, and leeches. You want to, you can't please everybody, but
That's
we
true.
think that, money is going to save people. It's not. It's gonna bring out the true being in a person.
That's so
And
true.
so, but you're not measuring both sticks when you are in the midst of everything.
Right.
You're in the midst of all of that chaos and the negotiating and the moving and come on, let's go. You take 5 guys, I can take 10. Everybody
Mm.
wanted, right? I took 12, 14 people to London. My bill was like 10, 12,000, you
Wow.
know, right? It was a lot of money. And then when I got there, I had to spend another probably 5,000, but you're not thinking.
Right.
It's like, I just want, I want to give them, I want to do this for them because they never
Right.
had it or, the experience, and we want to be people's savior.
Mm.
And so I commend Floyd for making the adjustments. So the question was, you have to make adjustments. We got to make
Right.
adjustments with this COVID. We got to make adjustments with our lifestyle, with our actions, and our process of where we move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Definitely make adjustments. Yeah, like you said about even in the boxing, it being, because it's very competitive in the film industry, when it comes to being a woman of color and doing, film. I wonder, was it like that is it like that for African American men in the boxing arena? Is it different in pay or whatever? Because I know it's definitely different in pay for women and men in film. I mean, there's a huge gap.
When it comes to minorities and others, is it a huge difference? Yes and no.
I see.
First, um, no, because um, no, because black fighters come a dime a dozen.
Right.
Black athletes come a dime a dozen. When you got one, like a white guy or Italian guy, or Irish guy, or Asian guy, or whatever, They shine like probably whites, right? Meaning that all the energy is on them because they don't really shine in the sports
Gotcha.
like that. So they get higher pay, more opportunities, better presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even look, think about this, right? When Floyd fought, as much money as he made and where he is now, Floyd was in his prime. Nobody knew who he was or really cared because Roy Jones was in the prime. Roy Jones,
Right.
remember?
Right.
Nobody cared about Floyd at that time. Everybody, Roy had the crowds and the fans on lockdown. He was such a showmanship, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but, but like even a guy named John Duddy, I don't know if you remember him, but he was a New York guy, Irish kid, and by himself. Now this guy never, I think he fought on TV, HBO. He always fought on MSG.
Mm-hmm.
Fought on HBO one time, I think. John Duddy, an Irish kid from Ireland, sold out Madison Square Garden, the small arena.
Mm-hmm.
He sold it out every time he fought.
Oh wow.
He sold out the garden every time. He sold tickets. And the name of the boxing game is called, business.
Right.
Boxing business. You got to sell tickets, like, and think about, a lot of black athletes don't sell tickets. But he
Mm.
can sell tickets for a long time, you know. A lot like Zab sold tickets. He did pretty well because he had a great following under Mike Tyson, right?
Nice.
And then plus he was right. Plus he was like, he was a Brooklyn fighter. Big up Brooklyn. The biggest borough in the world is Brooklyn. But yeah, but it's a business. You got to sell tickets. You got to put
Right.
seats, and you got to put butts in the seats. So, like I said, so John Duddy, the Irish kid, middleweight, and this guy made probably more money than the guy who had a career for 10, 15 years, and he was in the game probably for 6, 7 years. But imagine him selling out arena,
Yeah.
4,000 seats in a little, I forgot what they call it. They call it something else now, the whatever theater. But he sold out.
Wow.
That's 150, 200,000, and we're not talking about advertisement and promotion.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So it's all about um, it's all about talent, but at the same time, of course, there's favor. Look at the day and age that we live in. The answer to your question is it's different, but it's not different.
Gotcha.
Like I said, black athletes dime a dozen, and white athletes and other nationalities don't really show up as much. So when one does show up, it's the royal treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you. It's kind of like that one guy. I remember. I didn't know who he was, but the guy that fought. I think it was Mayweather. He was a MMA fighter, I want to say, and then turned boxing.
He was a what?
I think he used to be an MMA fighter or something like that. I don't know. It's
Conor McGregor.
that guy. That's the only time I heard of him. I was like,
Right.
oh.
Yeah, right. But Conor McGregor was an MMA fighter, right? Like you say, he fought in UFC, but the Irish fighter as well, and
Oh, yeah.
he made $100 million, right? He made $100 million just talking, being at the right place at the right time, having the right weight, because he could fight Floyd,
Right.
and you know, he has so much support, and versus like if that was a black fighter, they would have to work to get to that space. Basically, it was delivered to him, because it could have been so many other fighters from UFC that were better than him, his weight division, to fight Floyd, but he had the whole gimmick. He's a talker. He's cocky, and Dana White is a genius, He's cornered off the market, the UFC,
Right.
and having one president to a whole big sport like that and being able to have a personal relationship with each fighter, he
Right.
has a lot of influence. Boxing is so broken up because you got 20 different promoters and everybody's fighting for the fighters, and they treat the fighters like kings until they get them, then they treat them like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why the UFC is so successful in a short period of time. Even though boxing is really great and you make way more money than the UFC fighters, but we don't get as much money on the back end as a fighter. It's like our gross, our net and gross is way different
Right.
than a UFC fighter. When these are small. The UFC has really came a long way in a
Yeah,
short period.
for sure. Yeah. I wonder, like, do you think boxing is I don't know, do you think people are watching boxing as it like they used to? Because I don't know, it's different. I haven't really heard anyone coming out as of lately.
No, I don't think. I think that every 10 years, the boxing has a is two things that happen every 10 years. Every 10 years, boxing depletes, but also every 10 years, boxing finds a star.
Mm,
So it's an oxymoron.
right.
You get what I'm saying, right? Please, because think about this in the 70s, it was Ali,
Mm,
right? Then 80s, it was Cigarette Lenin.
mm-hmm.
90s was Tyson. You always have a star, but it takes away every. It's like every sport, like football was a brutal sport. Now it have so many rules.
Right.
People, it's not the same. But when you have investing hundreds of millions of dollars into these athletes, you gotta protect the athletes.
Right.
You can't really protect the boxer, but so much because they're in a hand-to-hand combat war.
Right.
But as far as I just feel like it's depleting with so much. And and granted, um, boxing is not a U.S. sport; it's a London sport. It originated in London, right?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And yeah, and then on top of that, we're so occupied as human beings now. We don't have much time for anything.
That's
You
so
know,
true.
if it ain't on our phone, we used to have fight parties on our. I don't know me, my age difference in yours. Probably 10 years, 11. Oh,
I'm 30.
yeah, right. Then all right. So I'm really old. Almost
No.
20 years. Right, right. So my oldest is 27. My oldest.
Nice.
Right. So right. So it was back in, and you came up underneath. So you seen gatherings in the family and the group and the camaraderie. But it's not like that. Everybody's like you at Thanksgiving like this on your phone. Grab on your phone, get on Instagram, post it, put it on your storyline, answering your comments. Yeah, girl, I'm here, but popping up. It's not. What
Right.
about the family? You know what I'm saying? Like, put the
Yeah.
phone down. No phone. Everybody wants, let everybody know what they're doing.
That's so true.
Right?
It's funny. That's totally me. But I'm actually working. That's my defense. Um, what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into the boxing world?
Don't go somewhere else. Like, I honestly, I was like, dang, like, when it was all said and done, okay, I made money,
Yeah.
traveled the world. I've been on over 22 international trips. I've met so many people. I've done so many things I'm grateful for. I am so grateful, but I didn't get a chance to nourish my family. I lost my first, I've been married 3 times. My first wife, we have 4 daughters together.
Hmm.
And boxing, I can't blame boxing. I gotta blame myself. But if you don't have the balance and you don't have the support that that is expected, like, because I'm making 100, 200, 300,000 a fight, and I go to my mother or my family and say, "Oh, what should I do with this?" They never seen that type of money before. What
Right.
advice are they gonna give me? They can't, right? I go to a guy, whether black or white, in a suit and tie as an accountant, and I say, "Hey, help me put this money up." He steals it. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So it's like, and it doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to a lot of us, right? You can't trust people, and
right.
and that's a whole nother show. You know what I'm saying? But the point of it is that if you're going to go into boxing, just make sure the most important thing is don't do it for the money.
Right.
Do it for the love. Do it because I like my stepson is boxing pretty good right now. But I told him, Pops, I can do this, I can do this. And If you're not doing it just because for the competition or because you like competing or you like fighting,
Hmm.
then don't do it
Right.
because it doesn't work. Because the money is not going to come to you when you seek it. It comes to
Right.
you when you're just being authentic.
Hmm.
And if you're good at something and you're great, and the money's gonna come to you. So I would tell a young kid, do it if you love it, and this is something that you want to make a life of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But to understand, if you go that route, it's a lot of commitment and sacrifice that you have to be willing to take, right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of things you're gonna have to learn to put up with. And the most important thing that I can tell any fighter is don't go off your emotions. Your emotions oversee your intelligence. I never fight emotionally. The times that I fought emotionally, I lost.
Mm.
Can't think about this. Argue with your husband or your boyfriend and try to go into a meeting and shoot a shot. How you're gonna do horrible,
That's true.
right? And you think, oh, well, boxers, they gotta be mean, they gotta be angry. No, they gotta be smart. This
Right.
is science. It's not a brutal sport. To a degree it is, but you gotta be smart. You got outweigh. That's why Ali did so well,
Yeah.
because it's a science. So, I would tell our young fighters, make sure you do your research and talk to some people outside of boxing, and most of all, talk to God and have a conversation and ask God to lead you. And then the most important person that you're closest to, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, have a conversation with them, and they're gonna give you a transparent answer about who you are because they know you.
Right.
Because everything that glitters is not gold,
Absolutely.
and we get tricked. Every picture you see on Instagram, you don't know the pain that's behind that picture.
That's so
You
true.
know, or the story behind that story. So you just got to do your homework. And you don't got to analyze everything, but you just got to be aware of everything,
Absolutely.
right?
Love that. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's great advice. Are you working on anything? Or you have something coming up that you want to share with us on the show?
Man, I got some amazing things going, but I one thing, less is more,
Okay.
and less is more, and the less people I know, because I've had some, like, and not just me, as you
Right.
know, the more people know, the more they can disturb you,
That's so true.
right?
So true.
So, right. So my thing is, and people can handle your blessings too.
Absolutely.
Everything's not meant for everybody.
Yes.
Even your company, I'm learning, that God might have a blessing for you, but that person that's in your life, it might not be for them.
Hmm.
He might have to do some stirring up and fixing up to get them out of there. You
Right.
know, so just say that we're working on some really major things, and I'm looking forward to this. And maybe in a couple of years, this interview would be mean more to you and me than it did just today.
Ah,
Right?
thank you.
You get what I'm saying? But no, but everything is good. I'm very grateful. My wife and my daughter, we prayed this morning,
That's
and
awesome.
everything is a day of resolution, resolving. Because we as a people, we have so many demons that we're fighting, and
Hmm.
we sometimes we lose focus. And I'm learning you're only as good as your support system.
Very
So my
true.
wife and I, we try to give Gabrielle what we didn't have, which is support, and show her how she should be treated, show her what she should do, and show her how hopefully she can be when she grows up and have a family. And
Absolutely.
she's a young lady. It's about family. Family's not everything; it's the only thing. And
Mm.
especially when you have and all family ain't good, but you know what I'm
True.
saying, right? Because you see your family your worst, because only people can really, like, only people can get under your skin. Like, a person in the street can't get. I see him, like, I blow the horn at him. He give me the finger, curse me out, call me all type of name, and I'm like, go ahead, just go about your business. Right? I'm not gonna chase him down. Like, I don't. He's not a part of my life. He's not a
Right.
part of my story. It might be a small period in the story, or exclamation mark, right? But
Yeah,
so we just gotta focus and concentrate on our story and let it be written the way it should be written, right?
that's so true.
And and about the family. The family, the base. Family is the base. It's the foundation of how we all grow up as people.
Absolutely.
And you and I, being of the same color and being of the same experiences in life, pretty sure we can have a note and close together, and we're gonna be using dots on a lot of different things. And so we got to take that and let it work for us and not work against us. We're not
Absolutely.
victims. We're victors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. What a great conversation. Thank you so
Thank
much for coming on. This was a pleasure to talk to you. And
you.
yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Well, that's another episode. Until next time, remember to live, love, laugh. Bye.
Um,